I confess, 5 secret traps the system uses to beat you. I worked on the inside for years, specifically in risk analysis. Today I'm going to tell you something you've probably never heard online. These popular prediction and odds-based gaming systems, ostensibly built for entertainment, are not designed for you to win. They are designed to keep the system's own risk at an absolute minimum at all times. Now, I will reveal the 5 major traps the system has deliberately constructed. These traps are invisible mechanisms that fuse your emotional reactions with mathematical realities. If you enter the system unaware of these structures, you aren't playing your own game. The system is playing its game through you. Today, we are exposing every single one of them. Trap number 1, the accumulator illusion. The urge to stack multiple predictions into a single entry. So why do people combine 5, 6, sometimes 10 predictions into one single transaction instead of just making one? The answer hides in deep psychology, the dream of exponential returns with minimal capital. But as an insider, let me tell you the truth. This is a risk manager's favorite user behavior, because the system's commission, the operational margin, doesn't just add up, it compounds. If the margin is 5% on a single prediction, in a 5-step combination, that margin multiplies. Mathematically, this means exponential risk for you and exponential security for the system. You might think you're multiplying your potential outcome. In reality, you are just multiplying your risk. Saw this constantly on the inside. Sure, one person celebrates hitting a high multiplier outcome, but the system is secured by the thousands of others who lost on that same compounding margin. Here is the critical point. This isn't a game of chance. It's a game of math. And in the accumulator illusion, math is always calibrated in favor of the platform. Trap number 2, the early exit illusion. When the early exit feature was first introduced, participants viewed it as a move that finally gave them control. But if you knew how internal risk analysis teams utilize this, your perspective would change instantly. Early exit offers are almost always calculated below their true mathematical value. This appears as a safety net for the user, but in reality, it is a mechanism designed to mitigate the system's own exposure. Here's the system's perspective. If a large volume of users are anticipating the same outcome, and the trend is moving in that direction, the platform's potential liability skyrockets. To prevent this, the early exit offer is displayed frequently to the user. Emotional pressure is manufactured, and the user accepts the offer driven by excitement, fear of loss, and the instinct to lock in gains. When we were working on the inside, we treated this method as a fail-safe protocol. Essentially, early exit is a design feature ensuring the user takes a lower return so the system achieves higher security. This trap is triggered specifically in 2 scenarios: when there is heavy financial exposure on the system, when users are approaching a massive potential return. In short, while the participant believes they are taking control, the system is actually reducing its own risk to 0. Trap number 3, fluctuations in value. Prices going up and down are often seen by participants as a signal of opportunity. But as risk managers working on the inside, we view this completely differently. Technically, this volatility is an emergency balancing act. There are 2 primary reasons for this: new information flow. Roster changes, weather conditions, injury reports, statistical shifts, and so on. This data is immediately reflected in the system. Heavy volume overload. If the capital flow from users tilts heavily to one side, the system is forced to reduce its exposure. How does it do this? It artificially increases the value of the opposing side. To the users, this looks like, aha, a great opportunity. But the reality is, it is an artificial attraction. The sole objective of risk managers is this: to steer enough volume to both sides. This way, regardless of the outcome, the system closes with nearly 0 risk. This is not an opportunity. It is purely a psychological direction technique. Trap number 4, side predictions, prop bets. Dozens of micro-predictions completely independent of the main event outcome. First score, first corner, first card, first statistical occurrence. Do you know why the system loves these? Because these micro markets are low volume. A low volume market is the easiest sector for risk managers to control and manipulate. Operational margins here can spike to the 8 to 12% band. This is nearly double the cost of main category predictions. Another advantage of these niche segments for the system is this. The user cannot effectively analyze because the variables are simply too chaotic. Therefore, the system views these fast, granular windows as a goldmine. The participant suddenly acts on impulse. There's definitely going to be a corner now. This athlete is about to score. 10 minutes in, a card is coming. Impulsive decisions. This is exactly what the system wants. Trap number 5, the bonus trap. Welcome bonus, 100% deposit bonus. Who says no to free capital? As a marketing professional, let me tell you the truth. Bonuses are not a gift, they are a binding contract you have to sign. Here is the key word. Rollover requirement. When the platform credits you with 100-unit bonus, you cannot withdraw it immediately. Usually you are required to circulate this capital 5 to 10 times on high-risk transactions above specific value threshold. This is where the math kicks in. Remember, you lose a small operational margin on every single transaction. This rollover requirement forces you to pay that small margin over and over again. The platform is not concerned about you keeping the bonus. They are banking on the statistical certainty of your balance depleting during this high-risk cycle. The result is simple. Bonuses are designed to lock you into the ecosystem. By giving you a bonus, we are essentially purchasing your retention, ensuring you stay in the system long enough to guarantee our long-term profit. Today, as an insider, I have revealed the system's architecture to you. This industry is not merely about numbers or probabilities. It's a profitability model engineered upon your emotional reactions and mathematical fallacies. Money or tank for the problem. Remember, risk management is unifin applies to every aspect of life. If you learn to navigate these traps, you will, at the very least, stop the unconscious depletion of your capital. If your objective is entertainment, engage only within a calculated and acceptable risk threshold. Super allocate capital that you cannot afford to liquidate. This is the mission of my channel, to build your awareness. If you want more insights on risk, financial markets, and system analysis through the lens of a former risk manager, do not forget to subscribe and activate notifications. I will see you in the next briefing.